The next activity we're going to talk about within Moodle is known as a quiz. Now, in my opinion, a quiz is another word for a test as far as this is concerned. Any type of test you give in your class, whether it be essay, Scantron, multiple choice, it can all be done within Moodle using this quiz feature. We're going to add a quiz and we're going to edit this quiz from the edit screen that comes up. So we're just going to call this a Moodle Quiz, and we're going to go through some of the settings because the settings are different than any other activity we've seen. So if we were to type a description in this box, we could display that description on the course page just like anything else. We can open and close the quiz with certain dates if we only wanted it to be taken in a certain time frame, and we can give it a time limit in minutes or hours or days. So if this test was something you would let them take multiple times, you might want to have it over the course of a few days. You can have it set to where they can only have one attempt, unlimited attempts, or a set number amount, and choose how it's graded based on the attempts they've taken. The layout is important because if you have a test you want to give in a certain order, you can give it in the order shown on the edit screen, or you can shuffle the questions randomly. Most of the tests I give, I shuffle the questions randomly, and I have a new page for each question. If it's only a 10-question quiz, you could have all 10 questions on the same page if you wish. If it's multiple choice or matching, shuffling within the questions will shuffle the answer choices. The only thing you need to be careful of is if you have an answer that says all of the above, you need to reword it to say all of the answer choices instead. Deferred feedback, adaptive mode, and immediate feedback, these are all ways that questions respond to the user once they answer a question. So if you click a question mark on anything within Moodle, it's going to explain exactly what it is. Deferred feedback would be if they're going to take a test and you don't want them to know any of their answers for any part of the test until they're completed it. Alternatively, if you wanted them to submit each question and see if they got it right or wrong, you could do interactive with multiple tries or adaptive mode, and that way they could get partial credit for the questions. Under review options, you have check boxes if you're going to let them see what's going on. Now, during the attempt, they can't see any of this because I have deferred feedback chosen. If I change this to adaptive mode, I can now let them see if they can see the correct answer once they guess it or not. They can see the right answer, and they can see feedback for those specific answers. This is only during the attempt when they have not completed the test. Once they've completed it, we have different options. So we can let them see everything after they complete the test, maybe. So we'll let them say what they did, but we're not going to let them know if they got it right or what the right answer was. After the attempt, we might say, okay, we'll let you see if you got it right, but you're still not going to know the right answer. And then once the quiz is closed, this is when everybody's taking it, we might let them log back in and see what the right answer was and what they actually suggested. If anything is grayed out here, it is automatically defaulted to be off. So since all of this is grayed out, during the attempt, they're not going to be able to see anything. Since you can see these check marks and you can modify them, this is where you're going to have to make some changes. And as soon as you uncheck certain marks, some things become automatically grayed out. Since this is set on deferred feedback, by default, during the attempt, everything is going to be turned off because we're not going to let them see anything until the question or the whole quiz is submitted. This is a new feature. Each attempt builds on the last. What this does is if they take the test or the quiz multiple times, the questions that they've gotten right the first time, they won't have to answer again, and they can answer the incorrect questions subsequent times. If we scroll down, we can see some more options as far as showing their pictures, letting us see what their decimal points are in grades if we don't want whole numbers, for instance. We can also require a password just like anything else. There is a way we can do a network address. So if you have a lab at your school, that's the only place you're allowing them to take quizzes or tests, you can make sure the network address meets the subnet of that course. If this is something you're interested in, you're going to have to get with your technology department in your school district or in your school to make sure this is set correctly. If you're going to let them take it more than once, you can specify that they only have, let's say, 30 minutes. They have to wait before they take the second attempt after they've taken the first attempt. We can also give them a browser security, which means a full screen pop-up would not have any multiple tabs. They can only have one window up at a time. I suggest to do that if it is a test. If it's just a questionnaire, that's not that big of a deal. Now we get to the overall feedback. With the overall feedback, we can specify certain grade boundaries. So if you're on a 10-point scale, you can enter 90%, and you have to have the percent sign or it will not read it correctly. And you can say anything between a 90 and a 100% is an A. So that's what they're going to see if they score anything between a 90 and 100. If they score anything between an 80% and a 90%, that's going to be a B. Anything below that, we can say a C up until 70%. And this is just showing the students their grade once they've completed that attempt. And then we can say D up to a 60. And then anything below a 60 all the way down to a 0%, we're going to say this is fail. And then if we wanted to have multiple feedback fields, let's say we wanted to tell them between 95 and 100% is an A+, and then 90 to a 95 is an A. We could add more fields and do so. Once we're finished, we can do save and return to course or save and display. If we click save and display, it's basically going to save what you're doing and refresh the page and let you modify it. Now, if you do not fill in where required forms are, it will give you an error message and say you need to give this a name.